Hi, my name is David, or as I prefer to be called, Laid Back Dave. Today I'm going to talk to you about loving anger. This is a poem I've written about that subject. Afterwards, I'll explain what I mean by each verse. How can anyone love anger? I can hear you say. Isn't anger bad for you? Isn't it a sin and it can make your hair turn grey? Those questions of yours are perfectly understandable. Good on you. I love anger. So can you. That's not a lie. It's very true. Without anger, life would be sickly sweet. We would see beauty in everyone and everything we meet. Life would become oh so dull and boring. Oh, that is such a sensational sound. The sound of you snoring. When I'm angry, ready to explode, rather than criticise someone or myself, I get my hands dirty working in the garden, helping flowers to grow while avoiding the odd toad. A boss at a weekly event kept making statements which I objected to. One day I calmly asked her to stop those statements because they were opposite to my point of view. I held my breath, bit my tongue, and tried to sort things out. But she wouldn't listen. All she wanted to do was shout. She regarded my silence as endorsement for her view. My anger grew, but I didn't know what to do. There are days when I do get angry at myself for what seems like a silly mistake. If I didn't get angry, I'd cuddle up with my complacency and I wouldn't be honest with myself. I'd be a fake. How I've expressed that anger has changed over the years. Change was needed, desperately, and in the process were many tears. I can hear you say, what can I do when my anger gets out of hand? I say, being angry is as normal as breathing. Do you understand? When you say with a smile, I love my anger, it takes away its power. It's up to you whether you laugh, exercise, sing, or take a cold shower. Let's look at verse 1. How can anyone love anger? I can hear you say. Isn't anger bad for you? Isn't it a sin and can make your hair turn grey? Those questions of yours are understandable. Good on you. I love anger. So can you. That's not a lie. It's very true. I'm the sort of person who dares to be different, to think outside the box or square or rectangle or whatever shape you like. I love to be different. Throughout history though, when people have been seen as being different, they have been criticised, abused, and yes, murdered. Why? It's because people are afraid when they hear someone or see someone who's different. They don't know how to react. They still don't. And the easiest solution is to release anger onto them. So, if you want to press the pause button on your video and release your anger onto me, maybe by calling me all sorts of names, don't be afraid. Don't resist. After all, you've been doing what people have been doing for thousands of years. When I see people on television who I hate, I press the mute button and yell at them and scream at them, and it feels good. It gets my heart pumping. It keeps me awake. It's the same when I see a sporting contest in which the players are fighting. But when I see a match played in so-called good spirit, what tends to happen is I get bored and I go to sleep. Do you do that? Do you get frustrated sometimes? I know I do. What do you do? Take a few deep breaths and tell yourself, I shouldn't feel frustrated. I shouldn't feel angry. I'm at peace. I'll just accept what's happening to me. I don't. I say, yes, I'm frustrated. I'm angry, and I'm not going to accept this situation. I'm not going to accept being a victim. I'm not going to let others accept this situation for me. I'm in charge. If it wasn't for anger, if I didn't love my anger, I would accept being a victim. I wouldn't have the courage to stand up for what I believe in. Anger has helped me to grow as a human being. It can help you to grow too. Let's revisit verse 2. Without anger, life would be sickly sweet. We would see beauty in everyone and everything we meet. Life would become oh so dull and boring. Oh, that is such a sensational sound. The sound of you snoring. Even though the traffic lights turned green 5 minutes ago, you take your time. When you wake up, eventually, put your foot on the accelerator. I'm in no hurry to get anywhere. And of course, a neighbour's dog waking up the whole neighbourhood by barking at 2 o'clock in the morning doesn't bother me. He barks so cheerfully. And I and all the people in the neighbourhood, well, we can sleep at other times. Oh, what a pleasant surprise! My brother has turned up drunk at my door. It's such a divine experience, seeing him vomit all over my clean floor. Wow, it's a double surprise. His ugly wife has turned up too. And their delightful children. Oh, what a happy crew. I've worked hard all day. Now I'm looking forward to a long, hot shower. Oh well, no hot water. I'll sit in the garden instead and plant the old flower. I'm sorry that you find faults in everything I say and do. Keep criticising me. It's what I love most about you. What I truly love is to keep the house tidy and clean. The only thing I love more is when you put everything in the wrong place and make the house dirty. It is so sweet when you don't listen to me and you prefer to chat to strangers on your smartphone instead. We can have a conversation next year or in our next life. I absolutely love it when climate change activists glue themselves to roads. The only thing I'd love more is for motorists to run over those toads. Thanks for charging me for products that never seem to work. So what if I can't afford to pay the electricity bill? Thanks for bulldozing another koala habitat to make way for wind turbines. I'd much rather cuddle a wind turbine than a koala any day. Thank you, politicians, for making everything I want and need cost more than I can afford. Enough of being sickly sweet. Let's get angry instead. Let's go on to verse 3. When I'm angry, ready to explode, rather than criticise someone or myself, I get my hands dirty working in the garden, helping flowers to grow while avoiding the odd toad. I'm not really the gardening type, but when I'm angry, the garden bed looks like a sanctuary. Out comes my old tools, such as my personal favourite, the cultivator, who I call Charlie. I kneel down and Charlie and I get to work. We're a powerful combination. We both get dirty and it feels good. Down deep into the soil, Charlie gets thrust. Any weeds we see and feel get tossed aside. What I'd like to do, but I won't tell anyone, but keep this a secret, okay? What I really want to do is to imagine, and I do mean imagine, is that someone who made me really angry is lying in the garden. They're lying in the garden, okay? Then what I'd like to do is to thrust Charlie deep into that person's heart and soul. And again, and again, and again. Charlie would enjoy it, and so would I. We wouldn't get any blood on us, only soil. And the soil would look so much richer, and the flowers we grow in the soil would look so much more beautiful. Of course, I do have other flowers in the garden, and I do have other tools, but I don't like to talk about other tools in front of Charlie. This is Charlie. Isn't she beautiful? Oh. What's that? You want to get back to bed? To your garden bed. Okay, we'll talk later, okay? Bye, Charlie. Charlie and I agree that whenever you have a lot of anger and are ready to explode, that you should go to your garden and use your tools, whatever names you call them, such as Ashley or Emily, and release your anger in a positive way using them. Next time you see someone with their beautiful garden, smile. You might even say to them, "Now you people really do know how to release your anger." Let's look at verse 4. A boss at a weekly event kept on making statements which I objected to. One day I calmly asked her to stop those statements because they were opposite to my view. I held my breath, bit my tongue, and tried to sort things out. But she wouldn't listen. All she wanted to do was shout. She regarded my silence as endorsement for her view. My anger grew, but I didn't know what to do. Have you been in situations like that? When you feel somehow trapped? When you have a choice to either suffer in silence or in some way retaliate and be punished for being the aggressor? It can be a hard choice to make, especially when you've only got a short time to make that decision. This is what I did. I stood up for a cause I believe in. The cause is bigger than me. I had to shout my case as the only way of making myself heard. She shouted even louder. On the spur of the moment, I swore at her, then tried to apologise, but she wouldn't listen. It's my way or no way, was her attitude. What a toad. No disrespect to toads. Maybe you're thinking, I know what you're thinking. I wouldn't have sworn or even raised my voice. I would have stayed perfectly calm and walked away. If you are thinking that, I'll ask you this. What's some cause you strongly believe in? It could be a political or religious cause, or it could be that you'll stand up for and defend your loved ones from verbal or physical attacks. If someone was to shout provocative words about your cause, about your loved ones, and deny you the right to defend them, Would you really stay perfectly calm and walk away? I don't think so. I'd say you'd get very angry. You might even shout and swear. You'd have every right to, just like I do. Let's look at verse 5 now. There are days when I do get angry at myself for what seems like a silly mistake. If I didn't get angry, I'd cuddle up with my complacency and I wouldn't be honest with myself. I'd be a fake. How I've expressed that anger has changed over the years. Change was needed, desperately, and in the process were lots of tears. The other day I left home, leaving the door unlocked. I didn't realise it till I got back. Now I could have thought, it's okay, it's no big deal, I'll just take a few deep breaths, the solution to everything, as counsellors seem to say, and just pretend it didn't happen. But if I'd have done that, chances are I'd go out next week leaving my door unlocked. Instead, I did get angry at myself. I said, listen, laid-back Dave, be more careful. I'm so lucky someone didn't open the door and steal everything. It's one thing to leave home feeling a sense of peace. But if I was to go out with the door unlocked again and come home to find all my precious items gone, I wouldn't be in much bloody peace, would I? When you make mistakes, what words do you say to yourself? Do you say, I'm an idiot? How could I be so stupid? Why do I keep on making mistakes? I should have known better. I let everyone down. If I was to make the same mistake, what words would you say to me? You'll be all right. Everyone makes mistakes. I don't think any less of you. I know you didn't mean it. I forgive you. They're the sorts of words I think you'd say to me. So, how about next time you make a mistake, you say the words to yourself that you would say to a friend who makes the same mistake? Can you do that? I'm actually very confident you can. When I say how I've expressed my anger towards myself has changed over the years, I'll let you know just how much. I've actually said this to very few people. What I used to do was a lot of self-harm, even up to 200 times a year. 200. I also, by hurting myself, I punched myself on the head really hard, my chest and my throat. And I yelled words at myself, too horrible to mention here. That's what I used to do. Over time, with support, I learned to forgive myself, to love myself, and to release anger in more positive ways. And because I've done that, I haven't done self-harm for a long time, and I never will again. I deserve better. And if you're thinking of using self-harm, you deserve better too. Before I get on to the final verse, there is something else that needs to be said. There is a Spanish saying which is, La ropa sucia se pone en la cesta y se manda a lavar. The translation means, the dirty linen is put in the basket and is sent to be washed. That's the literal translation. And if you're wondering what the hell's that got to do with loving anger, I'll explain. None of us are angels or saints. We all have some aspects of ourselves, whether it's from the past, the present, or looking to the future, which could be considered somewhat dirty or dark, which we feel too embarrassed or ashamed to talk about. The longer those so-called dirty secrets, those dirty aspects of ourselves stay within us, the more likely it is they will trigger anger, and we will release that anger towards others or ourselves. For instance, I could tell that my dear friend Russell was struggling to control his anger. I kept on approaching him again and again, till one day he confided in me that he had to change his last name a few years ago because he didn't want people to know that his brother, who was in fact a famous, or as some sadly say, infamous world leader, is his brother. Russell loves his brother, and from our conversations, I've also learned to regard his brother, who is so cruelly called horrible names. I regard his brother as a wonderful, warm human being, a peaceful human being too. By talking about it with me, Russell has now become a so much more peaceful, content human being. And he said, I know he'll be embarrassed to say this, to hear me say this, but he said he'll be forever indebted to me. You may be the type who is extremely jealous of someone. Sorry, all this part about Russell, it does get to me sometimes. You may be extremely jealous of someone who you consider much better looking than you, someone who is a healthier, happier person than you. Now, rather than admit to that jealousy and that anger, what you should do is talk about it with other people. You may even harbour a special wish to want to smash that person's face. You may even act on it. But by talking about it, by releasing those dark secrets, you won't. Suppressing jealousy and anger and our so-called dark secrets makes our brains dirty. But acknowledging our jealousy and anger and our dark or dirty secrets and talking about them with family or friends or counsellors, it's like putting your dirty linen in a basket and sending it to be washed. Now for the final verse. I can hear you say, what can I do when my anger gets out of hand? I say being angry is as normal as breathing. Do you understand? When you say with a smile, I love my anger, it takes away all its power. It's up to you whether you laugh, exercise, sing, or take a cold shower. When you are aware that your anger is getting out of hand, that's a great achievement. Well done. The next step is to understand what it is that makes your anger get out of hand. It could be that your partner says or does things day after day which really annoy you. You put up with it in silence till one day you scream, will you put the bloody phone down for once in your life? I want to have a conversation with you. That situation could all be avoided if you'd have said, can you put the phone down so I can have a talk? The first time you're annoyed by what the person said, okay? There's no need to suffer in silence day after day after day. If you do, one day your anger will erupt, with potentially dangerous consequences. It's healthier and safer to say what's annoying you before your anger gets out of hand. Okay? There are lots of ways to release your anger in a healthy way. For instance, what I like to do sometimes, I like to write out my anger on a special piece of paper and just write it out. I don't worry about the grammar or how many swear words I use. I just write it out and write it out. And when I've finished, I tear up the paper and it feels good. I think my favourite way, one of my favourite ways, David, laid back Dave, is to release my anger is to look in the mirror and laugh, and I pretend I'm looking at the person and talking to the person who made me angry. And I say things like, "What's this saying all those horrible words? Who the hell do you think you are to do that? Now listen, scumbag. You behave yourself, I'm going to wring your bloody neck." Something else I'd like to say to you as well. Something I've been meaning to ask you for some time. Were you born ugly, or did that happen over time? It's so funny, those things I love to say, and I just laugh and laugh. Me no mean to be naughty. Me good boy. The mirror really is your best friend when you got a lot of anger. Another thing I love to do, another thing is great for releasing anger, is exercise. It can be shadow boxing or boxing a punching bag, or to go out and run, something like that, and just let it all out. Another one of my favourite ways to release anger, I'd say probably the best, the most effective, the most fun way to release anger is to get up and do singing and dancing. Yeah, if you like, but don't tell me. You might even like to dance naked. How would you like that? No, I won't go down that path, and I might get a little bit sick, so I'll pretend I didn't say that. Last year, I went to a concert and I saw this. It was fantastic group playing, and I never sung so loud. I never shouted out so loud in my voice. I never danced so, well, let's say, brilliantly. The only thing that made me angry was they had these stupid security guards who wouldn't let me get on stage. I will go back to see that concert next year, and hopefully someone will get rid of those security guards so I can get up on stage and show everyone how great I can sing and dance. When you sing and dance, it feels so good, and all stress, all anger disappears, and you can feel great. Okay? So, how well have you been listening to this video? I've got some questions for you. Question 1. The name of my cultivator is A, Charlie, B, Ashley, C, Emily. The answer is Charlie. Question 2. The name of my friend who has an infamous brother is A, Robert, B, Richard, C, Russell. The answer is Russell. Question 3. If I was to refuse you the right to speak about a cause you believe in, would you A, buy me a coffee, B, shout and swear, C, kiss me passionately? The answer is shout and swear. Question 4. When someone says or does something which annoys you, what should you do? A, suffer in silence, B, let your anger build and build, or C, saying what's annoying you before it gets out of hand? I hope your answer is saying what's annoying you before it gets out of hand. Question 5. What are some ways you can release your anger? A, gardening. B, singing and dancing. C, exercise. D, laugh and shout in a mirror. Yeah, all of the above. There's so many ways you can do it. What's your answer there? I'd say all of the above and more. Now, thank you so much for watching this video. If you've got any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. And I do mean love. So how do you contact me? Easy, just see my contact details in the bio below. And thanks again. And keep up that dancing.